Hello and welcome to Eat More Football, the show that satisfies your cravings for hot takes. This is our final episode of the 2022-2023 football season. So enjoy it. We're going to kick it off with This Week in Sports.
All right, This Week in Sports. NFL. Hoo-ha. Let's see. Who's in the playoffs? Let me hear it.
Bucks, baby.
And the Bucks, yeah, sure.
But the Bucks are the Jags' daddy.
Oh, yeah. I see that now. Well, I don't know. We'll see how that works. If
they have to meet in the Super Bowl if they're going to play each other, unfortunately.
Yeah, seriously. Which I don't think will happen. We got to get beat by someone, right, Noah?
We'll probably make it to the divisional.
Yeah, that would be fun. I think Bucks will go probably the same distance, but I think it'll just be more difficult. Bucks seem a little bit,
not good.
Yeah,
they're going to either play the Eagles or the Cowboys at home, so it's really a tough matchup for sure.
Yeah, geez, that's rough. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, me and Noah will be rooting for the Jags, and then Craig for the Bucks. So whoopee, NFL, get paid. One thing I realized about the NFL is how much I miss marching band, because for like college, every time you score a touchdown, they play the fight song. And if it were in the case of the TCU Michigan game, they played the fight song every 2 seconds because they were scoring like twice a minute. So we'll get to that later. But I really do miss marching band for NFL, because I was watching the Jags game yesterday and I'm like, wow, it's just completely silent. And it was a packed house yesterday, though. So that's probably the most people the Jags have seen in their stadium since it's been built. But
speaking of marching bands, I'm trying to remember which game it was, but there was a game where the band just played I guess it's Georgia. I think it's Georgia's band. Just plays non-stop. Talk about annoying.
Yes,
that's correct.
Shut your horns up.
Well, all you hear is and I'm like, okay, whatever.
And every time they'd kick off, it'd be like, stop. Be a real football team.
We got to put up with it one more week, I guess, or one more day, really, tomorrow.
It's America versus Georgia in the national championship. I'll tell you what, that's for sure.
Hypnotoads.
Yes, I think we're all on here rooting for the Hypnotoads. Sorry, Georgia fans, but whatever. All right. So, final episode. There's been a bit of a cease in college football because bowl season is officially, over. So, we're now in the national championship phase. So let's go recap our favorite bowl games of this season. As Craig said while we were debriefing earlier, I think this is one of the most entertaining bowl seasons in a long time. So there have been a lot of good games, lots of healthy competition. So just start off for me. My favorite one was TCU Michigan. I mean, I was hyped for that game, especially as a Florida fan. I have no one else to root for, so I'm on the big blue bus. But back and forth the entire game. Michigan had to claw their way back, but in the end, couldn't fight off the Hypnotoads. And I love Michigan's fight song. It's one of the best in college football. But as I said, it was playing like every 2 seconds, and I'm like, wow, I have this thing memorized at this point. But just a little bit of a recap. It was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 21-6 at halftime. And then there were 24 points scored by Michigan in the third quarter alone, and 20 by TCU, and then 10 by TCU, and 15 for Michigan. Final score 51-45. It's like a basketball, college basketball score. And JJ McCarthy, 20 for 34, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, like 4 interceptions for both quarterbacks. Like, it was so bad. I mean, there were moments where fantastic football, garbage football. Wow. So I think it just packed everything that we like about football into a bowl game. So, yeah, that is my favorite. That would be College Football Playoff Semifinal, Verbo Fiesta Bowl, 2022. Yeah, that was in 2022, December 31st. So.
New Year's Eve.
Yep. So who's next?
I guess I'll just go. I'm gonna go with the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Notre Dame versus South Carolina. That was a great matchup. Like, it was a great game. I did not expect it. I mean, well, I kind of expected. I did not know Notre Dame actually had an offense. So that was exciting.
Or South Carolina doesn't have a defense? Which is it?
Yeah, seriously.
That's probably. But yeah, I watched this in a Mexican restaurant in South Alabama. I was sitting there, TV was right over there. I was watching it the entire time. But it was a great game, and it was in Jacksonville. It was filled up. It was crazy. It was a great ending. So I'll probably say that was my favorite bowl game.
And it was just as packed as the Jack Stadium was yesterday for the playoff game, which is
seriously
very sad, one, but also very impressive for South Carolina, because it was all South Carolina fans. I mean, they had the towels, they were doing Sandstorm. It was a pretty crazy environment. I wish that I could have gone to that one, because that would have been nice. But next year, we got to, all three of us, go to a bowl game. We got to go to the Gator Bowl next year.
Yeah.
See who's playing.
Be fun. That's a good game. Usually has good opponents. It was surprising how many of those bowl games were full. Like, some of the bigger ones, a lot of them had nobody there, but some of those bigger ones were packed out, which is always good to see.
Yeah.
My game that I had to go with is the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. The Green Wave of Tulane, Cinderella story. American Conference champs go against one of the top rated, number 10 in the country, USC Trojans, with Caleb Williams, who played. Now, SC was only a 2-point favorite going into the game. I think they had several opt-outs. Jordan Addison, one of the receivers, the Biletnikoff Award winner, actually opted out. But they had plenty of firepower, and they showed it early on. And why this was so special was, again, like those two games you guys had on your schedule there, it came down right to the end with back and forth. And actually, Tulane was down 45-30 with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the game.
Wow.
Down 15 with 4:30 to go. And ESPN's tracker there gave, at that point, USC 98.2% chance to win the football game. Well, USC blew it, obviously, because Tulane came back and won 46-45. What happened, you guys, I don't know if you saw the game or not, but Tulane scored, kicked off to USC. They weren't doing the onside. They actually kicked it deep with like 2 minutes to go. The guy fair caught it, but it bounced off his shoulder pad and went out at the 1 yard line.
Oh, yeah.
So like 2 plays later, Tulane gets a safety. So I think it made it 45-39 at that point. And then they kicked back to Tulane. Tulane scored with 8 seconds to go and went up 46-45. So hats off to Tulane Green Wave. My buddy Chris Hampton, the defensive coordinator, did a fantastic job, even though they gave up over 500 yards to Caleb Williams, who's phenomenal, by the way. Caleb Williams is Heisman and phenomenal player, but they found a way to win and get that Cotton Bowl championship. So that was really cool to see. Good for Willie Fritz, too. He's a great coach.
Yes, yeah. I stand for Willie Fritz. I wish he would have gotten the Georgia Tech job. That would have been.
They missed out.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity by Georgia Tech.
100%. 100%.
Slap Georgia Tech in the face for that one, because what are you doing? Like, who did they end up hiring, by the way?
The guy that was the interim. Yeah.
Yeah, Brett Key. He's a good coach too, but I think if you were really going for it, and he was a contender too, like they were releasing stuff about him, like, oh yeah, we're gunning for him, and they still never ended up doing it. I don't know.
What I heard, and this isn't official, but he didn't want to make a decision until after the championship game, and Georgia Tech didn't like that much, so they were like, sorry, we're going to move forward with you, with the other guys.
No.
I think that's what Josh Pate said too. Like, Georgia Tech just didn't want to wait.
Yeah, that's what the rumor was.
They weren't going to a bowl game. What's the point? Like, you can wait all you want. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Who knows? That's a TGIF moment, but so yeah, nice. All right, so we will go on now to the 2023 College Football National Championship. I mean, we've waited all year for this, always wondering who was going to be in the national championship. Now, real quick, I do want to get up the AP poll from week 1. I think that'll be interesting to just take a look and
look at that too.
Let's look at it.
So preseason week 1 was the AP top 25 was Alabama, number 1.
Oh,
Ohio State, number 2.
bad.
Georgia, 3. Those two are pretty accurate. And then Clemson, 4. Now, if we go down a little, Notre Dame and A&M both sit at 5 and 6.
Oh man, Texas A&M.
Oklahoma 9.
Yeah, like almost all these teams have lowered in rankings. Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, Wake Forest, Ole Miss, they're all down. Miami, for sure, they are not in the rankings anymore after getting beaten by Middle Tennessee. I mean,
no, creamed by Middle Tennessee.
Yes, not just beaten, creamed. So, Pitt, nope. Michigan State, definitely not. NC State, I think they're still there, but Oklahoma State, nope. Oregon, yes. Baylor, definitely not. So yeah, a lot has changed in the world of college football over this time.
I think it's also a good time to take a look back at Desmond Howard's playoff sections.
Yes.
He was so close on so many of his picks. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very close. No.
Texas A&M national champion.
Yep. Definitely not. Give it 20 years. A good thing to note that in the coaches poll, Texas was actually ranked number 18, and in the AP, Texas was not ranked at all. So I just find that just interesting to note. I mean, they're nowhere found.
Speaking of, real quick there with, who did we say right before Texas? Oh, Texas A&M. So you see who Jimbo hired as his offensive coordinator?
Yes,
sir. The old Bobby Petrino.
Petrino. Wow.
So that should be interesting.
Great.
Somebody was saying that, is there a more hated program now than Texas A&M? He's got Petrino as his offense coordinator, DJ Durkin, who got accused of a bunch of stuff at Maryland, like mistreating players.
Yeah.
That's why he got let go. So those are his two coordinators. So that's interesting. They'll probably go undefeated next year.
Yeah, he's building some Urban Meyer level of coaching staff or something. I don't know what's going to happen. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, Tennessee also not ranked beginning of the season. Let's remember the time when Tennessee was not good. Butch Jones, come back.
I was one of those people that believed it.
Come back. I'll manifest Butch Jones.
Yeah.
Back into the
brick by brick.
Yeah, please. But so yeah, that's a fun thing to do. Look back at the dark ages of college football where everything was the same. And TCU, I mean, they didn't even receive any votes going into the preseason.
That's why we love it.
Yep, that's why we play football, right? So now, without further ado, we will get to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T. Not a sponsor of this show, but a sponsor of the College Football Playoff. And Cheesa, apparently. But woke up feeling the cheesiest coach, right?
Yeah.
Cheese. So
doing that bit for about 6 years now.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been forever. So let's go through a couple things. So number 1, Georgia versus number 3, TCU. Georgia comes in minus 12.5. This is, where is it? Is it in LA?
It's in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And Georgia comes in with a 72% chance to win this game. So yeah. I'll just go through a couple stats. So TCU in points per game is averaging 41, with Georgia averaging 39. And then points allowed, Georgia blows TCU out of the water with 12 points allowed per game to TCU's 25. And then Georgia is a more pass-heavy team with 293 yards per game, and TCU with 269. And they're both about the same amount of rushing yards. And TCU allows about 100 yards more than Georgia per game. So those are just a couple stat lines to note. TCU coming off the big win at Michigan, and Georgia coming off the mediocre win, which shouldn't have happened, at Ohio State. So,
Nope.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that, I don't know. I don't like to say so-and-so didn't deserve to win that game, but Georgia did not play well in that game. I mean, they really did not play well, and it all came down to a field goal. You know, if Ohio State had made that field goal, they would not be in the situation where they would be now. So,
well, here's what I told somebody about that, and Noah like this. I said that was a very Alabama type win, right? You know you're a good football program when you're losing basically the whole game. What, Georgia led for 54 seconds or something like that the whole game?
Yeah.
And yet you win the game. You didn't play your best game. You were down the whole game, and somehow Bryce Young or Stetson Bennett figured out a way to get his team back in it and win it. It means you're a pretty dang good football team.
Yeah, I cannot argue with that. Not at all. So
only Marvin Jones Jr. wouldn't have got hurt.
Oh,
or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. Still,
True.
I mean,
game changer.
Which Marvin Harrison Jr. might be transferring out of Ohio State to USC.
Yeah, USC.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, so that is their star running back in Marvin Harrison Jr. Not receiver. I thought he was running back.
Yeah, no, he's a receiver.
Well, he's fast like a running back, but still, very big deal for Ohio State. A couple more stats to note. Oh my goodness, I can't even see these numbers. I gotta get the readers on. But so Max Duggan, on the season, he has over 3,000 yards total, 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Stetson Bennett with 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And rushing wise, TCU has better rushing stats than Georgia, and actually receiving stats. TCU's top rusher and top receiver have like 300 more yards than Georgia's. So I think that's interesting to note. Quentin Johnson, he's a fantastic receiver for TCU. So I'll be looking forward to seeing him cook Georgia's secondary.
Please.
So, yeah. So anyways, as I said, Georgia comes in at minus 12.5. They moved the game earlier this year to 7:30 instead of 8:30. I think that's a win for America because it's a school night, and I don't like going to bed late, so I can actually stay up this year. But so yeah, let's just go through the picks and do it.
Well,
who wants to start?
I usually start on these things, so I'll start. As much as I believe it or not, I was actually pulling for Michigan over TCU. For some reason in my gut, I wanted Michigan to win that game, even though I typically pull for the underdog, possibly because I thought Michigan might have the only chance to beat Georgia in the national championship.
Yes.
That might be why. But I do think TCU has a shot. I just think Georgia's too strong and they're too deep overall. Georgia's a better football team than Michigan, and I think Georgia will come out not better prepared or more ready to play, just with fewer mistakes early on. Because, I mean, Michigan got down in that game and just really dug a hole that they could never truly get out of and lost a lot of momentum early, which I think Georgia will keep that. I think they'll keep it closer than 21-6 at half. I can guarantee you that. And so that's when the second half is going to kind of, I think, wear down TCU a little bit, even though I do think it's closer than 12 points. I really think that spread, at least I hope it is, because they posted something on Twitter about like the last 8 championship games. I think there's been 3 or so that have been close. And it's like we want to see good playoff games, which we did. We saw 2 great semifinals, which is rare.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be rare and we see a really close Georgia TCU matchup for the final. I don't know. I think Georgia's got too much talent and they're going to win the football game, even though the nation's pulling against them. And I will be pulling for TCU for sure. I love Max Duggan. I love what they've done, but I think it's Georgia.
Yeah, me too. You know, Michigan, they're a good team. I'm sure physically they're a lot better than TCU, but like you look at their recruiting rankings, like they haven't been top 10, I think, in a long time. I think they're like number 17 now. So I don't know. I think Georgia just is such a physical mismatch with TCU. Like I don't really think like unless TCU gets up like 35-7 or something at one point. Like I don't really think there's a good shot for TCU to win. I think they'll cover the spread, but I don't see them winning. So
you think Georgia will cover or TCU?
I think TCU will cover, but I don't think it'll ever be like a close game.
It is, yeah, Craig, I liked what you said about mistakes, because if we look back at the TCU Michigan game, I mean, TCU, Max Duggan, he threw like 4 interceptions or 3 or however many. I mean, they had a couple fumbles, two interceptions.
Both quarterbacks threw 2, yeah.
But yeah. And, you know, that did not help the team, as you might put 2 and 2 together, right? And from what I can remember, I'm not looking at the stats, but I don't think Georgia had any like severe mistakes like that in the Ohio State game. I think they just got outplayed or outcoached or however you want to call it, right?
Stetson, I think, threw 1 interception.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, early in the game, he threw an interception. That was like first half.
Yeah. So, so did Bryce Young, right? Did Bryce Young?
No, he
did not. But he didn't.
He looked bad.
Yeah, he looked bad
that first
in
drive.
The first. Yeah,
but yeah. I mean, that's just early the game jitters.
Exactly. So I think, like the Michigan game, this will honestly come down to whoever makes the least amount of mistakes, right, and who just generally plays better. You know, I really do think Georgia has the firepower because it's Georgia and they've been recruiting well forever. And it's annoying. So on the outside, I will be picking Georgia because I think that's how it's just going to be. TCU will cover though, or at least I hope they do. But in my heart, please, TCU.
Yeah.
I'll be rooting so hard for TCU. I don't care if I get the pick wrong. And I think I'm going to pick TCU on the top 20 just because all or nothing. I mean, I'm not going to win anyways. So
yeah, me too.
As well.
I'm really not going to win.
Yeah. So my pick is Georgia, but my real pick is TCU.
So. Yeah, I think we need to take a second and appreciate what TCU has done this year. I mean, the fact that people were saying they shouldn't even be in the playoff, it should be somebody else, and then they went in and won a game. And I mean, it's TCU in the national championship game. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, that just doesn't happen. So this is definitely a crazy year for sure.
Definitely. And like I said, they didn't receive any AP votes in the preseason poll. I mean, they were projected to probably go, 6 wins, just be like every other normal TCU team that's played in the past however many years. But Sonny Dykes came in, and it's not like they were having some like brand new players than they have the past couple of years. Like they were playing with the same players they have been for 4 years, and a couple of new guys here and there. But Sonny Dykes turned that program around in 1 year. Now, I'm not sure if that will be sustainable. That's going to be the question, right? Will this be just like a one-time year thing, or will this be the new norm now? I hope it's a new norm because I'll take that, right? But only time will tell.
I was about to say something to that end. Like Sonny Dykes is going to get paid handsomely for this season, and they're going to probably extend him for like 30 years and give him $600 million or whatever. but he just set the bar super high for Sonny
Yeah.
Dykes at TCU.
Exactly.
So in my opinion, there's no way he's ever going to top what he's done this year. So that's going to be tough on them.
Oh yeah.
Especially if they win the national championship. Then it's like,
Oh man.
well, okay, if they suck the next year, you're literally under the hot seat in one
Right.
season. Like, that would be the biggest
Seriously.
turnaround ever. I think that'll be more interesting than TCU's journey up. How far will they come down after this year?
Yeah,
Mhm.
like Gene Chizik. at
Yeah,
Auburn.
exactly.
Gets fired like 2 seasons after winning the national championship.
Yeah.
Ed
So-
Ogeron. Hey, it happens everywhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
You set the
yeah.
bar too high early on.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
9-3 is not good anymore.
yes.
No.
Yeah. Yep. So we shall see. Only time will tell. So I mean that's really all we have. We're definitely, trying to work towards getting more stuff presented to you guys, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. Come the O word, the off season, So, but I think just as for right now, we can move on real quick to Tales from the Top 20, last one of the season. Yep.
Sounds
So,
good.
Yep. Let's get right into it.
All right, Tales from the Top 20, final edition. Wow, guess what? It is down to the last game for who wins the top 20. But it's only between two people, and they live in the same house and they're married to each other. So we got to do an investigation in the off season, probably go in and like they did to Donald Trump, like go in his house and try and figure out like all the secrets that they're stashing, like their automatic speed dial to Vegas on their phones and stuff like that. So, but John and Carrie Beth, John's in the lead by 1. Carrie Beth's 1 game behind him. The game that they were tied, the game that changed it at the end was Illinois, Mississippi State. So John picked Mississippi State and Carrie Beth picked Illinois. And that was a good game. I mean, it says it was 19-10, which Mississippi State returned a fumble for a touchdown with no time left, which actually like busted the spread. So a lot of people lost money on that. But yeah, so John's in control. We don't know who picked what yet for the national championship game. So if they pick opposite, there's a chance she can tie it. And there is no tiebreaker built in at this point for top 20. So we'd have a co-champion. But we had some people that did pretty well. Most people were around that 500 mark for bowls. I went actually 30-12 in bowls, which was like the best I've ever done. You guys were, TJ was 23-19 for his bowls. And then Noah, you actually did slightly better, 25-17. So
all right.
Current standings for us, I actually moved up from 11th to 4th because of that good bowl month, I guess you'd say. And then TJ, you are now at tied for 10th, so inside the top 10 currently. And Noah, you are 17th. Noah, you really can't make up any ground or lose any ground depending on what you pick because you're 7 games back from the person in front of you and 2 ahead of the person behind. So you're not going to move any spots. But TJ, let's see
the
what you
hard
got
frogs.
going. TJ, you are 1 game behind your mother. 1 game behind your mother and 2 behind your father. So you can't catch your dad, but you can end up tied. So right now you're the 3rd person in your family. Yeah. What do you have to say about that?
Well, first of all,
Jelly beans that good?
Not a sponsor.
Is it
But these
Haribo?
are great. These are what?
Haribo? Gummy bears?
What? No, not Haribo. I got the Jelly Bellies.
I can't see.
What?
Y'all are like this small on my screen right now.
Can't
I
see.
can't see.
You
what
need
that
your
is.
readers. No, Jelly Bellies. These are very good. My dad, I don't know what he does for his picking system. I don't know if he looks at the stats or what, but
Yeah.
he's at work right now. He watches some college football, but not a lot of it like us. It's just disappointing.
All right.
That's all
Do
I
you
have to
think?
say.
All right. I think it goes back to. Do you think John Candice watches much college football? I can answer that. No. Do you think his wife watches much college football? I can answer that. No. So.
We put in so much effort. We do the show for crying out loud, and we're losers on the top 20.
All right.
Seriously.
So you guys probably don't know who this is. He's on the ACC network. His name's Mark Packer. And he does a show with a couple people. One's Trey Boston. He used to play in the NFL and play for North Carolina. And I heard him say something 2 days ago. He said, the more research you do, the dumber you become.
All right. So
Yeah.
I will no longer be researching anything from this point forward. I will just be picking with my gut.
Well, and here's what your mom told me when I was struggling towards the end of the season. She said, "You're overthinking it. Just pick." And I said, that's what I'm going to do in the bowls. And guess what? It worked out for me. So a lot of times we overthink things. Well, what if the weather's like this? What if that player's out? What if this? What if that? It's like, just go with your gut.
It's very true. Sadly. Trust me, I would understand.
Another great season, though. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year. If John wins it, see if anybody can dethrone him. We did have a few dog eat your homework people. I can't remember specifically. There were Matt and Darren off the top of my head were definitely in the second half.
Bro, mute your Zoom. The entire world can hear your jelly beans.
Hey, you're going to get you a sponsorship there.
Yeah, I'll just turn it around.
Maybe.
I'll do that now.
The last image everybody's going to see from the college football, Eat More Football, is TJ smacking down on some jelly bellies.
Jelly belly.
They're delicious. Very nutritious. So who ate their homework? Did you say already?
Darren and Matt both had the dog eat their homework. Jason on the first pick of selections, the dog ate his homework, but he came back in style in the second half of picks. I believe that was it. We had a couple onesies and twosies here. Actually, Justin, the dog ate his homework on the second half of the picks where he didn't get any of them in. But I think he just gave up because I think he was like 6 and like 20 to start the top 20, and his record ended up at 12 and 30. Ball picks.
Wow!
Wow.
So not picking on Justin, but yeah, it was a rough bowl season for him.
Yeah.
John Cha actually got his picks, the majority of his picks in, and he actually went 23 and 19 in the bowl games, but he still is our anchor there at the bottom.
Good.
Right, someone's got to be there.
Yeah, so someone's got to be there. I mean,
keep him on so we can have someone to beat.
Yep. So, anyways, this was a fantastic season of college football. Really, sad to see it come to an end. College basketball season is in full swing.
Yes.
Florida looks crummy as always. New head coach Todd Golden.
Alabama looks better in basketball than in football this year.
Yeah, Alabama is looking good in basketball. Won our first SEC game yesterday against the Dogs.
Oh yeah, but
not guaranteed. Not the guaranteed, as Lonnie would say. But
he doesn't care about basketball because Georgia's not good in basketball. So
they're 11 and 4.
Front runner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. With former head coach of the Florida Gators, Mike White. He left Florida for Georgia. Just saying, that's dumb.
Who won the game yesterday?
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a nice comeback. But, so yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll figure out some off-season stuff. Whoa, sorry, I accidentally said it. I'm not allowed to say that. We'll figure out some off-season stuff, yeah, he's the screaming goat. We got him that for Christmas. So, we won't be posting every week over the O word because I don't think there's any need to really, but we'll still try to keep it on a regular basis. We'll definitely have, I think, more higher up guests, Craig, as far as, if we can get the coaches that you want on the show. But that'll all depend on scheduling.
Bear with us. Yeah. It was, we wanted to get some in on the show during the season, but obviously a lot of coaches were busy trying to win football games and just didn't work out. So hopefully we'll get them during the, what season.
Yeah. So, yeah, first season, inaugural season of Eat More Football. We'll see where this goes. I'm sure once Noah and I get to our college commitment time, it'll be a little harder to get stuff done. Oh,
we'll like a live with the hats.
I'm telling you right now, I am going to make a commitment video because I can, and it would be really funny.
We're gonna do it live. Let's do it live on the show.
Yeah, we get live college commitment from TJ or whoever.
I'll be taking my talents to the
for the next 3 or 4 years. I'll be taking my talents.
Yeah, seriously. But
Did you see the Georgia Tech commit or signee that was in the All-Star game and he pulled out money out of his sock and went like this with it on the field during the All-Star game?
No, what? Why?
That's ridiculous.
Like what?
Oh, that's great.
Terrible. Whoa, drop the bean. So yeah, this is a great season. You know, first time doing this. Glad we did it. Definitely. It was a great opportunity for us to get closer together and everything, and just have fun and hopefully entertain some people. I don't know. I've been entertained, but so we'll see. So for the last time this college football season, we will see you in next episode, whenever that may be, of Eat More Football. God bless.